Coming up on Network Africa, Kenya's Supreme Court explains why the 8th of August presidential election was annulled. President of the Central African Republic, Faustin Archange Touadera, pleads with the United Nations to bolster its peacekeeping force amid growing violence. Deadly floods kill at least 10 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker. We take off from Kenya, where the Supreme Court today blamed the country's Electoral Commission, IEBC, for its decision to annul the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta. According to the judge, the 8th of August poll was neither transparent nor verifiable. Kenyan police fired tear gas at opposition and ruling party supporters demonstrating near the Supreme Court as judges prepared to deliver the detailed ruling laying out the reasons for their action. One person was injured and taken to hospital for treatment, while a swarm of bees attacked the protesters. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwulu insists the IEBC did not verify the presidential results before they were announced. Uhuru Kenyatta was declared winner with 54% of the vote against opposition leader Raila Odinga's 44%. It is the first time in Africa that a court had agreed with an opposition's request to cancel the presidential election over rigging allegations. Well, joining us now is a professor of history and international relations at the University of Benin. We'll get to him much later. But let's indeed go to the story coming from Zimbabwe, where the Electoral Commission is putting together a new voter register. This is ahead of the 2018 presidential and parliamentary elections. 93-year-old President Robert Mugabe is seeking to extend his 37-year hold on power, as he also has registered for the elections.
Zimbabwe has started an electronic registration of voters ahead of the presidential and parliamentary elections scheduled for the year 2018. The biometric voter registration will capture voters' fingerprints, facial features and identity card details. The exercise, which was launched on September the 14th, is expected to go on until January 15, 2018 and help create a new voter roll.
The country will soon be embarking on a fresh voter registration exercise, and all Zimbabweans aged 18 and above are expected to come forward and register afresh.
Zimbabwe is suffering severe cash shortages, and Mugabe's government is struggling to pay its workers on time, while many businesses can't fund the imports they need. The country's once promising economy collapsed in the early 2000s after the violent seizure of thousands of white-owned commercial farms by pro-Mugabe gangs. Many voters are hoping the exercise will help usher in an administration that will help improve things in the country.
I'm registering for the first time because previously I didn't have the chance because of other commitments, educational commitments. It made it difficult for me to come and register to vote. But since this new drive has been initiated, I thought it was best for me to come and register to vote so that we can also contribute our voice as a young person.
I'm just exercising my right as a citizen of this country. I believe we have got a part to play, especially as the youth of this country, especially determining the future of the next generation is concerned.
Mugabe's constitution states that elections should be held not more than 30 days before August the 22nd, 2018, unless Parliament elects to dissolve itself, which would trigger an early vote. President Robert Mugabe, who is Africa's oldest leader, has been in power since the country gained independence from Britain in 1980 and is bidding for another 5-year term, his last allowed under the Constitution.
Well, let's join right now Ambassador Oladapo Fafowora, who's joining us via telephone with regards to the forthcoming elections in Kenya. Many thanks for joining us, Ambassador. Welcome to the program. What do you make of the play-out of events, comments on either camps, party support protests, and what the judiciary has called intimidation since the ruling of the August 8th poll in Kenya?
Well, initially when the results came out, I think it received broad international acceptance because the observer team was quite credible. But it transpired later that there were a lot of irregularities, particularly the possibility that the computer system may have been hacked to produce the desired results. I think the Supreme Court took all of this into account. And that was why he decided that a rerun of the election be held. Now, you can look at the formal side of any election, but we're now entering an era in which elections can be easily manipulated through hacking, computer hacking. And here in Africa, we've got to be very careful about that, because usually, even without any hacking, elections are generally disputed.
Ambassador, sir, to international observers, the entire election was free and fair. Essentially, do you think that was the actual assessment, I mean, with regards to the turn of the courts?
Well, Kenya has a long history of contentious elections. And I think in this particular case, there are sufficient grounds for the losing party, Odinga, not to accept the results of the elections. I think it will be fair to have a rerun of the elections as the Supreme Court of Kenya has ordered.
Ambassador, considering some of the comments that they've actually talked about, some of the concerns rather, about the rescheduled rerun for October the 17th, do you think this is achievable? They're talking about some technical things they need to fix. Do you think it should be extended? And also with regards to recent comments from opposition leader Raila Odinga.
Well, this is a rerun. All the arrangements previously made for the last election are still in place. And the date given in October, I don't see why it is not achievable. But the important thing is that the entire computer system, which is being used to collate results, should be carefully looked into. Because if you remember, in the last election, the head of the computer machinery for the election was assassinated. So there has to be assurance that this time the computer will not be used by either side to manipulate the results of the elections.